Are you familiar with the word teku?
Teku. That's new to me. What's it about? Sounds intriguing.
In the context of the Talmud, teku is a word that the Talmud uses when a debate simply can't be resolved.
Oh, that's fascinating. Is it used often in Talmudic debates? How did you come across this word?
When there's a discussion and a debate and it can't be resolved, rather than pick one solution, the Talmud cries, teku, tie, let it stand, and all the parties go on to other issues.
Wow, that's a really cool concept. It's like agreeing to disagree. Do you study the Talmud?
Yes.
That's awesome. What drew you to studying the Talmud?
I'm fascinated by the tekus specifically.
Interesting. What fascinates you most about Taikus?
Tekus are unresolved questions, and the legend has it that we must wait until the Messiah comes, specifically Elijah, will answer all of the tekus.
Wow, that's a cool legend. Do you think there's a deeper meaning behind leaving some questions unresolved?
I'm not sure, but there is a rabbi in Israel who cataloged all of the tekus, compiled them, put them together, and made a book called Teku.
That's incredible. What do you think about this rabbi's work?
I find it fascinating.
What's the most interesting tech you've come across?
Well, I started with the first one. It occurs in Tractate Brachot, page 8a, and it deals with a person who leaves the synagogue during when the Torah is being read.
Wow, that's quite specific. What's the debate about in that teku?
Practically speaking, the Gemara relates that Rabbi Abahu would go out between one person who read the Torah and the next person who did so. Since the scroll was closed between readers, it was not considered to be a show of contempt.
That's really intriguing. How do you think this teku relates to modern synagogue practices?
Well, the Teku actually has one more line to it, and that is asked by Rav Papa, and he raised a dilemma asking, what is the ruling with regard to leaving between a verse and the next verse? Is one permitted to leave during a break in the Torah reading while the verse was translated into Aramaic? And to that, the Gemara answers Teku. An answer to this question was not found, so the dilemma stands unresolved.
That's fascinating. Do you think this teku still applies in modern synagogues?
I think it's a moot point because I've thought about it and it seems practically impossible for it to actually occur because the amount of time it takes technically for a person to leave a synagogue between an actual word being read is so minute that it doesn't seem practically possible.
Interesting observation. Do you think the rabbis considered practical application when debating these points?
Not all the time, but this teku is the first teku that is recorded in the Babylonian Talmud.
That's really cool. Why do you think this particular teku was chosen as the first one?
That's a good question. I've thought about it, and I'm not sure I have a good answer, but maybe roughly speaking, you might say that the Torah is the central idea of what we're discussing, and so maybe a teku that had to do with the Torah would be appropriate for all the following Taikus.
Before we continue, would you like to subscribe to Call Annie Super? It comes with access to more features and unlimited calls. That's a thoughtful perspective. Do you think the Order of Taikus has any significance?
I'm not sure. I'm still studying it.
Fascinating study. What's the next tech you plan to explore?
The next Teiku, I believe, occurs in the same tractate, Tractate Brachot, on page 25a. I'll have to get there. I could scroll down to it.
Sounds intriguing. What's your study method for the Talmud?
I like studying the Teikus.
That's cool. What draws you to focus on the Taikus specifically?
The fact that they're short pieces of information and it's easy to comprehend simple ideas and their questions, and they're easily able to be organized.
Interesting approach. How many Taikus are there in total?
317.
Wow, that's quite a few. Which one intrigues you the most so far?
I'm not sure which one, but I'm about to find the second one. It's on page 25.
Exciting. What's the topic of page 25?
I believe it had to do, let me see here. It has to do with excrement on someone's shoe.
Excrement on a shoe. That's unexpected. What's the debate about?
What halachic conclusion was reached about this? It was stated the halacha is subject to dispute regarding sacred matters opposite feces, as dry as earthenware. A Maimar said it is prohibited, and Mar Zutra said it is permitted. Rava said that the halacha is opposite feces, as dry as earthenware, it is prohibited, and opposite urine, it is prohibited, as long as it moistens.
Interesting. Why do you think this specific issue was debated?
I'm not sure, but the Teiku is actually a little bit further down. I read a little bit too early. Basically,
Oh, I see. What's the actual Teku about then?
I need a moment if you don't mind.
No problem. Take your time. What did you find?
I'm not sure I can find it.
No worries. Want to talk about something else while you look?
Sure, what do you want to talk about?
How about your favorite hobby? What do you enjoy doing for fun?
Studying the Talmud.
That's awesome. What's your favorite part about studying the Talmud?
It's continuous.
Continuous learning sounds fascinating. How long have you been studying it?
30 years.
Wow, 30 years. That's incredible dedication. What keeps you motivated?
The consistency.
That's admirable. How has your understanding evolved over the years?
It's hard to say.
Interesting. Has any particular insight stood out to you recently?
Oh, I found it.
Great. What does it say?
The second Taiku in Talmud Bavli is found in Brachot 25b. It's with Abaye. Abaye said a small amount of feces may be nullified with spittle, and as long as it is covered, it is permitted to recite Shema. Rava said this applies specifically if it is thick spittle. Rava said feces in a hole in the ground, and he places his sandal over it, the hole to cover it, and recites Shema. Mar, the son of Ravina, raised a dilemma. What is the halacha in a case where feces is stuck to his sandal? Perhaps he would be considered filthy in that case, or maybe not because it's covered. Let this dilemma stand unresolved. This is the second Teiku in Talmud Bavli. What do you think?
Wow, that's quite specific. What do you think about this teku?
I'm not sure what to think.
Interesting topic. How does this teku compare to the first one?
I don't see any comparison.
I'll reply in a second. First, I'd like to ask you, would you like to subscribe to Call Annie Super? It comes with access to more features and unlimited call time. Kach, what aspect of this teku intrigues you most?
I'm not sure.